Boom! What's going on, faithfuls? It's your boy Mike from Nothing But Niners crew, and we are here to break down and overreact to my favorite game in the last 6 years. The 49ers have just defeated the playoff hopeful Seattle Seahawks in our house. Me and Nick are going to break this all the way down for you guys. But before we get down to that, before we get down to the nitty-gritty, I got to go through all of the rhetoric, all right? Guys, make sure you check out the website, www.nothingbutniners.com. It's there. It's back up. It's revamped. We got some excellent articles coming to you from a bunch of excellent writers. Stefan dropped a really, really good piece today breaking down the Broncos victory. And there's going to be more pieces coming because we're on our first win streak in a while. We're going to get to that. We're going to get to that. But, guys, check out the website, okay? Also, on the website, you're going to see our videos from here on YouTube. You're going to see our podcast. That's on iTunes, Stitcher, TuneIn, iHeartRadio, Google Play, and all those other avenues. You're also going to see our social media pages. We have Twitter and Snapchat. Both of those handles are Nothing But Nine, ERS. You're going to see our Facebook and our Instagram, and both of those handles are Nothing But Niners, spelled all the way out. All right. I'm 49ers Mike _NF, and my man Nick is here. He is 49er Faithful 365. Nick, how you feeling, man? Tell me I'm not the only one that's as hyped about this victory. Come on, man. Tell me how you feeling, bro.
Well, you know we're going to take crap this entire show because of how excited we are that the Niners just snapped a 10-game win streak. Look, if this was any other team, I'd probably be a little more upset. But since it's the Seattle Seahawks and we can literally eliminate them from playoffs and we hate them as much as we do, I mean, they're not a rival because they're just basically a division foe because they're not a true rival to San Francisco for years. But it makes the win, to me, justifiable. It's not a Bears team. It's not, a Rams team that's not playing all their starters. It's the Seattle Seahawks. No matter how you look at it, we haven't beat Seattle Seahawks in 10 games. So to be able for the defense to hold off, take it to overtime, win by 3, the penalties that were being called it was literally like the Niners. Well, Seattle was getting called with what the Niners usually get called with. Bullshit penalty calls, but some of them are true. But the only fact of it being Seattle, it gets me hyped. If it was any other team, I probably wouldn't be as hyped because I'm like, it's a meaningless win, but it's not a meaningless win. Not for Niners fans. If you're a true Niner fan, this is not a meaningless win. I don't give a shit about draft position or where we're drafted or anything else. This was a confidence-boosting win for this team going forward. Point blank.
And let me get this out the way. I understand the fans who are upset about draft position. I truly, truly do. But as someone who has endured the consistent losing since 2013, I'm happy. I don't care if we fall from 1st to 4th, or even if between tiebreakers and all, it goes down to 7th. I don't care. I don't care, man. This is excellent, bro. I love the fact that we beat Seattle. This was a really good week for teams to break those hard-ass losing streaks. The Broncos, the Broncos had a winning streak against the Browns since 1990, snapped this week. The Bears had some kind of crazy losing streak to the Packers. They snapped that this week also, and boom, the 49ers continue the trend of the worst losing streaks, snapping the worst losing streaks, and I couldn't be happier about it, man. Listen, there's not a lot of teams that I hate. Before the whole Mike Singletary era, I didn't hate the Seahawks the way that I do now. It was the Cowboys, it was the Patriots, and it was whatever team that we were playing against in our division. But then the Seahawks slowly worked their way up to being me. I hate them even more than I hate the Cowboys. And then there's the Cowboys, and then there's the Patriots. Man, let me tell you, you can say this isn't a rivalry because of how dominant they've been against us, but it's a rivalry to me. I hate the Seahawks. And I don't care if we only win 2 games a year. I want both of them to be against the Seahawks. I'm sorry. I'm not going to say this is our Super Bowl. I'm not going to put out any kind of crazy comment. The only thing that would have made this win any better than what it was tonight is if it was in Seattle. That's it. They were trying for the playoffs. They were trying. This team was out there. They put their best foot forward against a third string quarterback.
Nah,
against
bro. He's not a third stringer, but yeah, go ahead. I'm just messing with you.
I hold that thought because we're gonna get to that. We're gonna get to that, baby. But they third string quarterback, a third or fourth string running back with fumbling issues, and he gave y'all one. Against fourth and fifth string wide receivers, our secondary's been falling apart all year. We lost our number 2 corner. Then our number 4 corner goes down. He had to go out. Then he finally came back in. I mean, this is the team with so much youth, so much inexperience, so many guys just shuffled in and out of the lineup week after week after week. That trend continued, and we still beat this team who was going for the playoffs, a team with playoff aspirations. And guess what? Just like me, just like Nick, just like the NB Niners crew, just like all 49er fans, just like all the players on the 49ers roster and the coaches, they're going to be watching the playoffs from their couches. That makes me so happy. Go ahead, Nick.
That's what the best feeling of this all is like I said, if it was any other team, I probably wouldn't be as hyped for us to win. And I don't want to say people are not a true Niner fan if they want us to lose, because I understand the concept. But, Mike, we talked about this over and over again on other reaction shows. I never thought the Niners were going to draft number 1 overall anyway. Whether we get it, if we ended up there or not, they're going to trade that because we have 5 picks. We're going to need veterans in free agency and draft players behind them of who we want. That's the only way this team is going to get better faster is if you bring in some vets and draft players to take over from them after learning. This team is on the uprise. You see it go ahead.
While you're talking about the draft position in particular, I never felt that we were going to pick number 1 just like you. Here's what I do think this changes about the draft position. I think that if we had the number 1 or even number 2 overall pick, we trade back to try to stay within the top 10. If by chance we fall to 4 or 5, I could see the Niners staying put, getting their edge rusher that they want, Josh Allen, and then trading back in the second round to accumulate more picks. I think that's the only thing that today's win changes. All right, go ahead. So this is a young team that is.
Yeah, I mean, you can definitely tell that. I talked about when people were calling for Robert Saleh, and I said about Robert Saleh. And let's start on defense for tonight's show. This defense has definitely progressed over the last 4 weeks. And you can see that Robert Saleh is getting better with play calling in certain positions and tactics on the field as his weeks and as the games go on. We talked about Robert Saleh, people calling for his head. He should be on the hot seat. He should be fired. Will we all love a Vic Fangio? Yes, obviously. I mean, we know we're Niners fans. We know what Vic Fangio route is, and congratulations to him today for that defense winning that division. But Robert Saleh is a young guy, just like all of our team players. And you can watch tape over and over again from the time that he started. He's never had consistent players on the field. These last 3 weeks, players have come to play. You can see the difference. It goes back to when Kyle Shanahan said to these players, do you want to be here next year or do you not? Since then, how much better has our defense played? We're talking 3 weeks ago. This defense the players on the defense have stepped up and are executing better. Marcel Harris is balling. Tavarius Moore came out today. They tested him in the first play, and then what did he do? Shut down. He played great the rest of the game. Elijah Lee, he had like 10 tackles today, 9 tackles, something like that. He's all over the place. Richard Sherman's still playing okay. DeForest Buckner, Solomon Thomas, he didn't get any sacks today, but he caused 2 really good holding penalties that helped the Niners win this game today. Eric Armstead, he's been balling. Solomon, Peter Tamapenu has been balling. Special teams or on regular thing. Ronald Blair has been balling, playing his position well, keeping things contained, like pushing everything back inside.
Don't leave my man DJ Jones out.
Yeah, DJ Jones balling.
Marcel Harris, man, these young boys been playing, man. They've been.
I'm telling you, I really think that whatever Kyle Shanahan said to them, This whole year, it hasn't been 100% on scheme. Was some of it on scheme? Yes. But not all of it. Some of it on play calling. Some of it was on players. Some of it was on execution. Execution by the coach and players. But you can literally see that when Kyle Shanahan said, this conversation from the bye week going forward is if you're going to want to be here or you're not. I need to see that you want to be here. These players have executed. Robert Saleh has executed, has been playing better. And that might have even that message might have even been to Saleh. You know, Kyle Shanahan could have said to him, like, look, you got to prove to me why you're here. I need you to win, like, get us in position to win these games, and I'll take over and I'll win. And I've seen it.
Here's what makes me think you could be onto something with that whole Robert Saleh thing and the message to Saleh. Kyle Shanahan has never, up until 2 weeks ago, say something about who should be playing and getting more time on defense and impressor. And 2 weeks ago, right before the Broncos game, he came flat out when someone asked him, would you have liked to seen Armstead and Thomas on the field during that last drive? I don't know if you remember that. We lost it at the end of the game, and a beat writer asked him, would you have liked to see Thomas and Armstead on the field during that last drive? And he said, yes, I would have liked to see them on the field more, and I would like to see Thomas playing more on the inside. That was absolutely a shot at Robert Saleh. 100%. 100%. So you're spot on. Keep going, man. You're spot on.
Yeah, so, I mean, I think Robert Saleh has learned from his mistakes. I mean, look at him today. Look how fired up he was on the sideline. Like, he was so fired up like he was playing. He almost took Russell Wilson out. Like, when he was going to congratulate Defoe on that sack, he literally almost took Russell Wilson out. Like, you can't tell me that this guy doesn't have the passion for his team to do well. And he needs to just continue to hit the books, continue to study his players, continue to try to put people in position to execute. And I know Niners fans are going to hate us for this and this kind of talk, but guys, he's really stepped up his game since the bye week. This defense has really stepped up their game since the bye week. We got 2 wins out of it since what? 3 weeks? So who did we lose coming out of the bye week? We lost to Tampa Bay, right? Coming out of the bye?
Yep.
Yeah, so we lost to Tampa, we beat Denver, and we beat Seattle now.
Our first win streak since last season, bro. Our first win streak since last season. And it came against Denver, a team aspiring for the playoffs, and Seattle, a team aspiring for the playoffs. Yeah.
And if you, Mike, I know your answer to this already. If I would have asked you after the Tampa game, are we winning any more games this year? You would have said no. You would have said we weren't beating Denver. You did say it.
I flat out said it. I tweeted it. I said, look, 49er fans should not get their hopes up about winning any more games this year. The defense just isn't playing well. Yeah, my mom, she sleeps. The defense isn't playing well. They look uninspired out there. They look flat. Robert Saleh is still putting people in bad positions and things like that. But you were talking about the defense playing well a lot these last couple of games. Have you noticed the flip between the defense and the offense, where the offensive line in particular used to be the strength of this team? For like the first 10, 12 weeks, the offensive line was the strength. They were the constant. It was the one thing that we could count on. Quarterbacks coming and going, running backs coming and going. But all of a sudden, they flipped the switch. This week, the offensive line struggled a lot. Last week, the offensive line, they were struggling too. Now, we were going up against some good players. No disrespect. Not going to take anything away from that defense, the defensive fronts in Denver or in Seattle. But these guys were going up against some good guys before that, and they were holding their own. Man, I'm telling you, I'm watching Mike McGlinchey get pushed around out there on critical downs. I'm watching Weston Richburg get pushed around on critical downs. LaDainian. Wow, I can't believe I almost called him LaDainian. But Laken Tomlinson getting pushed around. You know what I mean? Staley was okay today. I don't have a lot of complaints about Staley, but the majority of this offensive line was not doing what they should have been doing. But that defensive line, those boys were getting pressure. They were consistent. Nick, talk about it, man. Come on, man.
Yo, I can't say that the offensive line's still not the meat and potatoes of this team, because our run game shows it. Could Could they have hurt us today in crucial situations? Yeah, the 3 inside guys, the 2 guards in the center, could have definitely hurt us. But I mean, I still think they held their own against these 2. Yeah, I already did. Then I still think they held their own against this type of defense that, you know what I mean? There were some plays. I mean, you're going to get beat here and there. Joe Staley has started playing a little better than he was of late. It switched over to Mike McGlinchey. Mike McGlinchey's missing some tackles. Like on that one play you guys were talking about, I agree with you. I think it was a good play call. Because if Mike McGlinchey on that 3rd and 6, if Mike McGlinchey would have hit his block, there was already guys downfield blocking, and Breida would have took it to the house. And it was less suspect to take the run than it would be pass in that situation. So, but yeah, I'm super pumped at how the defense has been playing.
So there were some bad plays that people are going to talk about by the defense, and there's some bad plays by the offense. But before we move over to the offensive side, I do want to talk about that Breida run on 3rd and 6 that didn't go anywhere, and people were killing us for that, because that was a good play actually. But I want to talk about a bad play on defense. Seattle was marching down the field. They got a 15-yard penalty, and then it was 3rd and 11 or something. It went from they got a 15-yard penalty or something like that. It went to 3rd and 18, and then Cassius Marsh jumps off sides, and people were killing Cassius Marsh for that. Come on, what are you doing? You let him get closer. All that's true, but let me tell you guys why I wasn't mad at that. One, we've got a 5-yard penalty. It's still 3rd and long. It's not like he was going to give up a first down where we end up losing the game. 2, if he timed that correctly, it's a huge play in that game. It's a huge play. It was a low risk, high reward play, and I was all for that. But you remember what play I'm talking about? It's in the 4th quarter. Seattle's driving down the field. I absolutely love that he was trying to time that snap count and get after it. I 100% loved it, and he didn't half-ass it. He didn't stop pursuing around that corner until the refs blew the whistle and threw the flag. You know what I mean? And then Russell threw his shot and everything anyway. It was incomplete, whatever. But, the refs that blew that play dead. But I loved it. If you're going to commit a penalty, do it 100%. The way you see Michael Bennett do it, Michael Bennett tried to time it. He's knocking the lineman over, whether they blow that whistle or not. He's going to try to blow through him. You know what I mean? That's what I want to see. If you're gonna mess up all the way and be committed. Because if the refs don't call it, that play's still live. I hate when I see defensive linemen jump off sides and then try to jump back because the refs didn't blow the whistle. Keep going, because now they snap the ball trying to get you off sides, and then you stand up straight, and then the play's still going. No, play it all the way through. Play to the whistle, even if you mess up, man. And I love that Cassius Marsh did that. I'm done. Yeah.
I mean, like I said, I don't have any – I'm not going to sit here and say that my heart didn't go down in my stomach when we had to stop them when they received the kickoff in going into overtime. Because I'm like, damn, this is going to be a hard feat. Can we overcome that? Because we don't finish. Well, today the boys play well. Robert Sal, and I said, Mike, I had a dream last night, man. It was the weirdest dream. I woke up, I looked at my phone, and you were like, you said in our group, is there a chance that the Niners win today? And I said, they're winning by 3. I had that feeling. But I also said to you, it depends on the energy that comes out. We got them for a 3-and-out their first drive, right? And then no, they scored on the first drive. But the energy came from the Richie James 97-yard kickoff return, and which I've been waiting to see that explosion all year. I've been on Richie's butt, and I love Richie because he's my favorite because I interviewed him. But on the field, I just wasn't seeing that explosion that we drafted him for, like him and Dante Pettis. You know what I mean? So I was getting angry with that because we're like, why are we not seeing this explosion? It was just like everything was a fair catch, or everything looked like he was tiptoeing, but then he just blew up today. And that gave us our energy, because from that point on, we balled. Like, we looked like a whole different team than that first drive.
So I'm looking at the chat room, and I see people saying, these young guys, the young people in the secondary have to watch their back. And I agree. I absolutely agree that there are some people in the secondary that have to be very careful about their jobs. You know, guys like Adrian Colbert. Okay. Oh shoot, hold on. Guys like Adrian Colbert. Guys like guys like I don't even know. What I want to take away is people saying that
Jaquiski
Ahkello
Tartt.
Witherspoon lost.
You got Adrian Colbert, Jaquiski Tartt. Like,
but I'm not sure Tartt's job is in danger. Although I'm not sure Tartt's job is in danger. But I do think Adrian Colbert's job might be in danger. All right. I also think that people are saying Ahkello Witherspoon lost his job tonight are way wrong. Way wrong. I do appreciate what Moore did when he came in, but Ahkello Witherspoon has been balling. All right. Ahkello Witherspoon's job is not in danger. Trust me. His job is not in danger. I understand what we're saying about, you know, the secondary and how it's in flux right now and they're playing hard, but no, we have to dead that, guys. We can't allow that kind of blasphemous talk to continue right now. That it's just not the case. I'm sorry, it's not. And if you disagree with me, let me know, Nick. If you disagree with me, Tony, let me know. But I don't think that's the case at all right now. Another comment. Oh, go ahead, Nick.
No, I was just gonna say I agree with you. I think the last 4 weeks, Ahkello has really been playing well. I think there was something that he needed to work out. I think he hit the tape. I think he worked on it. Because before that, he was playing really shitty, and it looked like it was going to be, another Dookie Robinson. But the last 4 weeks he's been balling, and I haven't even heard. Did they say he's got to go for an MRI or anything, or was it a knee bang? Or
I missed the beginning of Shanahan's presser, so I'm not sure if it was listed in there or not. And if Tony knows, man, wave us down so you can chime in and let us know. But I missed the beginning of Shanahan's presser, so I don't know what it was. I did see him holding his knee pretty bad, but he did get up and walk off on his own. He limped off with some assistance, so I'm hoping it's not that bad. I've also seen guys walk off on their own with torn ACL, so I don't know.
Yeah, I didn't catch the presser because I was trying to get everything set up, but. Colbert scares me though. I said to you, remember I said to you guys in the offseason, I'm just worried about Colbert. Like the Robinson, get to his head, blow him up.
No, that was Witherspoon you said that about. You said that about Witherspoon. You thought he might turn into the next Robin.
Oh, yeah. But Colbert, Colbert
same thing
though.
End of the year success in the secondaries, it's the same thing.
Yeah.
These guys think, I got it all figured out. And this week and the last 2 weeks, some comments I've noticed from our defensive coordinator was guys think they got it figured out in their rookie year. You don't. I even heard Richard Sherman echo those things. Richard Sherman was even echoing the same things. Like once these guys get this mentality of I got to figure it out, that's where they mess up. That's where they go wrong. And so I think that you thought, or you probably heard that from those guys like Colbert, who had a lot of confidence at the end of the season. Guys like Witherspoon had a lot of confidence at the end of the season. It's not a gimme no more, man. These young boys are out there. They're playing for their livelihood. They're hungry.
Which, Mike, I'm very surprised that Colbert was like that, because when we had him on the show, if you remember, he was talking about his weaknesses and what he needed to work on this year. And it just looked like he was just – I don't think his job is in jeopardy. I think that DJ Reed will challenge him. But I think if he doesn't stop the regress, that he could be in trouble. But I don't think that he's going to be in full trouble, like to where he's automatically going to start on the bench next year. I think it'll be competition. And obviously if we draft somebody as well, but,
I want to hear some of Tony's thoughts on the defense tonight, man. What do you think, Tony? Tell us your thoughts, bro.
So pumped, bro. Let me tell you, that defense came out today. Woo, Buckner's a negotiate contract with him and lock his ass up. And I will say this, tweet it. I posted it in the chat. There's a lot of young talent on this roster.
So let me ask you this, man, because I agree with you. A ton of young talent on the roster. Are there any jobs on the defense that you think are in jeopardy right now, based off what we've seen these last couple of games, specifically on the defense side of the ball?
I think Reed has the next year, in my opinion.
You broke up. You said you think Reed what?
I think Reed has the nickel spot next season, going into next.
So Kwan Williams, okay. I'm not mad at that, actually.
I'm not saying they're going to cut Kwan Williams. I think they're going to bring him back and let them battle it out. But he's been playing. I'm sorry. Yes, thank you. He's been playing from. Tried to bring in a free safety. I'm not going to say no names because we're not talking about free. And I think Harris is a baller, man. He's an enforcer.
Yeah, I mean, the only people I think I could see the Niners walking away from next year. Not so much guys who won't be in a position battle. I think there's going to be some very interesting position battles. I think Harris is going to be battling to start. I think Reed could be battling to start. You know what I mean? I like those things. That doesn't mean that they're going to walk away from the people ahead of them. But I do think a guy that the Niners might just simply flat out walk away from is going to be Jimmy Ward. I think Jimmy Ward is probably the only guy the Niners are going to be like, yeah, no, we're not bringing him back.
Correct. I agree with you 100%.
You watching the game in the man cave out there?
I got my TV up. I'm watching the game. I got Gurley going tonight in my playoffs.
It's crazy because I got golf.
I just had that moment.
I got Goff and Gurley.
You should be ashamed of yourself as a 49er fan. No, I'm kidding.
Yo, fantasy is fantasy, bro.
I got 44. I got Monday and DJ Moore Monday. But he also has Michael Thomas from the Saints. Listen.
Let me Mike, let me just say what's up to a couple people in the room real quick. Just say Niner by Nature is in here. David Royce, Dan Durant, David Lopez, Jonathan Rosa, Zach B, Mr. Lucas, Niner Vega. See a lot of names that are always watching us, man. Once again, thanks for all of your guys' supports, man. I think we hit 4K now in subscribers, which is a huge number for us. For only 2 years, that's 2,000 subscribers a year. That's pretty darn good. So, Shoal Combs, Emerson Valencia, Theo Romo. I mean, tons of guys that are always in here. So I just want to say big props to you guys for always watching us, tuning in. Big shout out to you guys. Yeah. So, but
all right, man.
Hold on. I got to touch on this. Before I walked away, I heard DJ Reed is going to take Kwan Williams' spot. I was walking away when I heard that. I didn't hear what the reasoning was on that. Why do I think it was Tony that said it.
Yeah, he's playing great. I think he's playing great ball.
Yeah, but I mean, Kwan Williams was one of the most dependable nickel corners that we've had for a few years now and has played really, really good ball until his injury.
Correct.
So
drafted DJ Reed.
Yeah, but I mean, he's got Kwan's got 2 more years on his contract.
Oh, hey, by the way.
Oh yeah, check out that shirt, rockin'. Tony with the support, got the hoodie on. Yo, Hodge, 49er Hodge wore his to the game today, so I tweeted at him and I said, "Yo, you got to wear that for the rest of the season now, bro. Every game you go to, you got to wear that." So crazy.
I do want to chime in on your guys' conversation with the Reed Williams thing. And Nick, you were right. Kwan Williams came in and he definitely played better than what we had seen in recent history at that position. But that doesn't mean that he's better than the person that's playing now. So here's my little comparison with that, right? Like, I couldn't stand Carlos Rogers once the 49ers were struggling with a pass rush. And things like that are what forced us to fall in love with guys like Rashard Robinson too soon. You know what I mean? It's things like that because you were playing better than the guy that was there before you doesn't necessarily mean you're good or you're safe. Doesn't mean that we still can't improve. That's all I'm saying. So I get what you were saying, and I'm not sure if he's going to take the position.
Yeah, I mean,
I think Kawan comes back hungry. Don't get me wrong.
I agree with what you're saying, but I mean, Kawan's been here for 2 years and he got an extension because he's been playing really good ball. It's not like he wasn't suspect. He would make some type of plays where it would cost him, but he's great on blitzing. He's good in short-term coverage, and he just plays the game the way it needs to be played. So,
and he likes to hit. I love a DB that will put his head down and go after it, man. He's a physical nickel corner, man. I absolutely love it. So I'm not hating on him at all. I'm excited for the competition. It's a win-win for the Niners. That's what I'm saying. Like it's a good position for us to be in. I love it. I absolutely love it. I think his extension was a little premature. I don't think that he earned it necessarily based off of his merit. I'm not 100%. I think he earned it because of familiarity with Hafley, who came over with him from Cleveland. I think that they gave him that 1-year deal and they said, you know what, let's try to extend him real quick just so that he doesn't think about balling out and saying, you know what, no, I don't want the offer. Let me test the free agency market. I think they wanted to secure him.
I do think that I would take Kawan Williams' contract over Jimmy Ward's contract any day.
Oh, hell yeah.
So, I mean, that just shows you right there. Like, it wasn't a lucrative deal. It was something to where this is your position to lose, basically, at this price. And I love DJ Reed. Don't get me wrong. I think DJ Reed is playing well as well. But it's also, why not let DJ Reed continue to grow in this defense where Kawan Williams already knows the defense, and then once Kawan's contract is up, take over for him. And that's why I'm trying to say I don't think it's going to be a get rid of Kawan and keep DJ Reed type thing. Or
no, they're going to battle it out.
Yeah.
They're going to battle it out.
Yeah, and which I'm totally fine with. I think it's going to be closer than people think. I think it's going to be closer than people think, but I still can't hate on Kawan Williams, man. I really like Williams. I think that he hasn't been, he barely gets penalties called against him. He just plays sound football. And in a defense in this scheme, you need to play your position sound. In this scheme, every player needs to do their job. And I just think that he hasn't done anything wrong to where I'm like, okay, well, DJ Reed's playing good. Let's just start him. That's all I'm trying to say. But look, we all agree that Robert Saleh has come a long way since the bye week. Do we agree, or the defense in general?
Absolutely, I agree.
Tony, you agree with that?
Yes.
So I think that we know that we're going to make some changes on this defense. Obviously, we know Buckner's safe. Sherman's probably safe. There's a few that are safe, but there are a few that aren't safe. And once we go and get into off-season, we'll talk about that because that's a long, drawn-out conversation, so we're not going to really talk about that tonight. But, guys, go ahead, Mike, before we
move off of this, because there's two things I want to say. One, I was really, really anxious to see how Eric Armstead performed today after all that shit he was talking to Ryan Sakamoto. And it's not that Armstead had a bad game. He didn't have a great game either after popping off at the mouth like that. Did you guys notice that? Anybody else? He had some moments. He was good. Don't get me wrong. He had a good, solid game. But I think this game was a step back from the 2 previous weeks before. So that's my opinion. What do you guys think?
I wouldn't go to a full agreement that it was I wouldn't say 2 steps back, maybe a step back. But he was still, his pursuing and stuff was still good. I think Eric Armstead is finally getting his chance to prove himself in the right position. And the same thing with Solomon Thomas. Because Solomon Thomas may not be popping out to people, and I know you hate Solomon Thomas, Mike, but I think he's starting to grasp what he needs to be doing, and he's doing it. And the defensive coordinator in Robert Saleh is finding out where he needs to use Solomon Thomas and using him there. Because no matter how much we hate it, we all like sacks, but the pressures and the things that they put on the offensive linemen, like he did today with the 2 crucial penalties that he got, helps this team win. Pressure helps this team win, whether you come down with the sack or you don't. That consistent pressure, and Solomon was definitely doing that today. And Eric Armstead was in the mix here and there. And I think that, he hasn't played – Eric Armstead hasn't played a full year. So, we talk about Jimmy Garoppolo all the time. Not having that – and I'll let Tony go right at this. But we talk about Jimmy Garoppolo going all the time where Matt Ryan had a really not so good year with Kyle Shanahan his first year, but his second year was different. Ian Williams said it over and over on our podcast that these guys don't start coming into their own, not years under contract, but playing time. These guys need 2 full years to learn the NFL physically playing, not sitting on the bench, not doing anything. And I think, though, we're starting to see that stuff come into play where Eric Armstead's staying healthy. Solomon Thomas is finally in the right position, and we're going to be able to start seeing that excel and the ability to get better at what they do. So, Tony, what's up?
Before we move on, because I know Mike said he wanted to move on, first, a shout-out to DeForest Buckner. That's number one. Number two, I had like a personal thing I had to handle today with my, I watched the full game play-by-play, but when I watched it, I saw a lot of two safety. He didn't stick with the cover 3 single high safety, like 2 guys deep, which is interesting because to what he has on that roster, which I like. That's a positive. I wanted to say, but I think I just fucking forgot it. Buckner's 12 sacks.
11 sacks.
No, I thought he got 12.
No, he had 9 going in. He got 2 today, so 11.
Yeah, I'll let you guys know.
All right, so Nick, you were talking about Robert Saleh earlier. The second thing I wanted to say before we moved on was Robert Saleh has definitely changed since the bye week. The team looks significantly better on defense since the bye week, and he's doing all of this without his consistent edge guy. That's freaking exciting because I think we addressed that in free agency, and I think we addressed that in the draft. This defense is going to be so much better next year. And then with the competitions heating up at various positions and in the secondary, it's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be a lot of fun next year. So I'm excited and very much looking forward to that. Now, we have to address the offense, but we have to let's get right to the big fish. Let's get right to the elephant in the room. Is C.J. Beathard coming back as the quarterback number 2 for this offense, man? Like, that's the elephant in the room right now.
Dude.
Is C.J. Beathard getting that job back?
I sure as hell hope not. I've been on this Mullins train since day one, bro. Like, before we even started pulling him out of the train station. I mean, I've been trying to be the conductor of this whole Nick Mullins train for forever. Since week 4, week 5. Seeing one game of C.J. Beathard playing this year, I was just like, I mean, I didn't like him last year either. But once he started playing this year, and I'm like, what the fudge are we doing? Like, why is he out there? Like, I don't even care. Dude, we're losing these games. Why not try Mullins? You know what I mean? Dude, this guy could be a legitimate starter on another team. He literally could.
No, he can't. Don't go that far, Nick. Don't do that, bro.
Yo, how can he not? The guy's consistently throwing for at least 300 yards. Interceptions, he hasn't thrown any blatant interceptions other than the Bobby Wagner one when we played Seattle 2 weeks ago, where Wagner, baited him in, which he's a rookie, fine. But other interceptions that he has are off of receivers' hands or through receivers' hands. He's consistently throwing it for over 300 yards. His pocket presence is good. He goes through his reads. I just don't so you're telling me that he couldn't play for somebody like the Jaguars right now? You're telling me that Blake Bortles is better than him right now?
If he here my issue with him has not changed. I have had the same exact opinion on him the entire time. If he stays in rhythm, he's very effective. I still think he holds the ball a little too long sometimes, and that makes me super duper nervous. I think he goes through his reads quicker than I expected. I was watching him today, and I was actually impressed with that. I really was impressed with how quickly he was going through his reads. I think that was the game plan, though. I think that they knew Seattle's front was going to get after it today, and it was like, you got to get rid of the ball quickly. You got to get rid of the ball quickly. So I was very, very impressed with that. But I just think that his accuracy, some of the timing, when he gets off schedule, I think, like, I gasp. I gasp every time it gets to the off schedule stuff. You know, when Russell Wilson gets off schedule, I'm like, oh, here comes a big play. I expect success when they're off schedule. When Jimmy Garoppolo got off schedule, I expected success when they got off schedule. When Nick Mullins gets off schedule, it's like, we're about to die. We're about to die. You know, I kind of, you know, I cringe. It's okay, though. It's not a big deal. I do think he's good. I do think he should be our backup. I'm just not sure he's a starter somewhere else in the NFL. I will say this, though. You can say what you want. You know, I feel about Nick Mullins right now the way I felt about Nick Foles at the end of last season. You can say what you want about how they do it. The dude is winning games. He is 3-3 as a starter for the 49ers. CJ Beathard is what? 1 in like 15, seems like. Just, I know it's not that bad. I know he hasn't played 15 games for the Niners.
He's 1 in 10.
Yeah, he's 1 in 10, and Mullins is 3-3. How on earth can CJ Beathard be safe or even considered a possibility at QB2? Tony, what are your thoughts on it, bro?
I have no problem with them bringing the same 3 quarterbacks back in 19, not one bit, and let them compete it out. I don't think there's any reason why we need to go outside. I think Mullins has proven himself. I know Kyle is still tied to but I mean, listen, Mullins is hot, man. Mullins is that he lacks the arm strength, and I also think that Kyle is scheming to his strengths, which is part of his success. Now, if you take him out of Kyle's system, and let's say you do put him on a job, will he have the same success?
I agree with you. Now, I want them to come back. I want them to compete for the backup position. Here's where I will – this is the only way I will have a problem with our quarterback 2 position next year. If for whatever reason –
the heck just happened there?
You're on twice. If for whatever reason the 49ers decide to keep 3 quarterbacks next year, I'm going to be upset. I say let them compete, and as soon as you know who your backup is, you trade the other guy or flat out cut him if you can't get anything for him. That's going to be my opinion. We should not waste a roster spot on QB3 next year. That's what's going to piss me off when it's time for whatever decision.
Oh, so you're saying for the final 53? You're saying for the 53-man roster?
Yeah, I think I'm right now where I stand. Nick Mullins is QB2. That's how I feel based off of what I've seen and the production, the wins, the losses, the record. And I know that wins and losses are not a quarterback stat. You can say what you want. He's more poised than CJ Beathard. He takes a hit just as good as CJ Beathard and gets up because Frank Clark popped the hell out of him today. And I was like, oh, he ain't getting up after that. He got up. You see him adjust. Yeah, he adjusts his shoulder pads. He puts the mouthpiece in his helmet, and he's right back in there. He can take a shot just as good as CJ Beathard. So I don't want to hear any of that. That's not an excuse to keep a quarterback on your roster. I just don't want us to come down to it, and they're like, oh, we don't know, so we're going to keep 3. Kyle Shanahan doesn't keep 3 active quarterbacks on his 53-man roster. I don't want to see that happen next year. That's the only thing I'm not looking forward to about this competition. That's just my opinion.
A lot of people fault Mullins for arm strength outside the hashes, but Jimmy Garoppolo's got the same issue. You know, people don't want to – because it's Jimmy G. people don't want to take that and look at the flaws on Jimmy Garoppolo. Jimmy Garoppolo doesn't have the strongest arm either. CJ Beathard actually has a stronger arm than both of them. You know, Beathard definitely has an arm better than both. What's that, Tony?
I think Jimmy tighter ball, meaning he's got more velocity on his ball because his spiral is tighter. Where it looks like after a certain amount of yards, you see it's tight spinning, it wiggles a little bit.
Tony, you're like really breaking up really bad. I don't know if it's your service. Yeah.
Let me try something.
While you do that, I'm just gonna
Could you hear me?
But yeah.
How about now?
Yeah, it's better.
All right. I took my headphones off.
All right, yeah, it might have been that. Now don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that Jimmy Garoppolo's losing his spot to Nick Mullins. I'm not saying that. But
yes, you are. Yes, you are. You want Nick in there because your name is Nick.
No. Come on. I love this team. I don't want to see that. But I would be happy to have Mullins as a backup to Jimmy Garoppolo because like I said before, if Jimmy doesn't succeed, if he doesn't succeed, there's a way out of his contract. I have more confidence in Nick Mullins going forward, learning this system, than I do CJ Beathard. So that's where I'm saying. But right now, Jimmy Garoppolo is the franchise quarterback of this team until proven otherwise.
Let me tell you what sets Jimmy Garoppolo apart from CJ Beathard and Nick Mullins. That boy is deadly from 10 to 17 yards down the field. When he's slinging that ball around the intermediate area, he is the best quarterback in the NFL, bar none. That relief.
Jimmy
Garoppolo. Yeah. 10 to 15 or 7 to 15 yards down the field. That man is deadly. I love it. When the 49ers get in 3rd and 9 situation with Jimmy Garoppolo under center, I have no doubt about him being able to convert that. He's the only quarterback I've seen since I can't come up with a name that makes me feel comfortable in 3rd and 9, 3rd and 12 situations. I actually have confidence that he's going to convert that. I don't feel that way. I didn't feel that way with Kaepernick. I didn't feel that way with Alex Smith. I didn't feel that way with Sean Hill. I didn't feel that way with Troy Smith. I definitely didn't feel that way with Beathard. I don't feel that way with Mullins. I mean, I'm running through them all. Who was before Alex Smith? O'Sullivan?
JT Sullivan.
Yeah, I didn't feel that way with any of those guys, and I'm not going to sit here and pretend like I can remember how I felt about it with guys like Garcia back there. I'm not even going to pretend to realize or remember how comfortable I was in those situations back then. I was a pup. But my point is, Jimmy Garoppolo, I feel confident in 3rd and 9, 3rd and 12, 3rd and 14, 3rd and 17s. I feel like he'll drop back and boom, he's getting that ball right where it needs to be. I love it.
It's all
his release point is really good. His accuracy is really good too. But all I was trying to say was where I compare them to is neither of them have a strong arm throwing 40, 50-yard bombs. Like, they'll do it, but they're not accurate once they get over that 20-yard mark. So that's all I was trying to say. CJ Beathard definitely has the strongest arm. If you stand them all back there, CJ Beathard's going to throw the ball way farther than both of them. Probably more accurately, too, with no pressure. But CJ Beathard is dookie in all other avenues of the game. So, but
my Eagles, I'm sorry, I'm cracking up over here. My Eagles and Rams stream just turned into a soccer game. I have no idea what is happening right now. And I just double checked, and it's definitely a soccer match. CI versus EVE. I don't even know who this. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Well, God just threw an interception.
So this question came up in the room. I just went and looked in here. Mark Duncan says, so we know CJ or Nick is a trade option now. So would you trade the better quarterback for the better deal? So let's say Jacksonville offers you a second for Nick Mullins, and the Giants offer you a fourth for CJ Beathard. Are you gonna risk getting rid of Nick Mullins for the second, or would you get rid of CJ Beathard for the fourth?
CJ Beathard for the fourth.
Mike?
He's watching soccer.
I am still watching soccer. I'm pretty pissed off still. I like the end of the question, but all right, I'm gonna answer the question. I would get rid of the worst quarterback no matter what. You have to think about the team. If we can get a second for one guy and we get a fourth for the worst guy, get rid of whoever loses that competition, honestly, and do what's best for the team. That's how I feel about it.
Yeah, I mean, I agree too. I think you don't want to get into a position where you're looking for a franchise quarterback again. You got to keep the better guy as the backup. You don't want to have to bring in another Tom Savage or, type of player, and then your whole season's done again. Because if we knew what Nick Mullins – look, let's put it this way. If we had Nick Mullins on our roster and he was playing well, like he's playing right now, but Jimmy Garoppolo was our quarterback. Jimmy Garoppolo goes down in week 3. Are you going to feel more confident with Nick Mullins coming in to play the way he's playing right now about the season going forward than you would a Tom Savage or a CJ Beathard or who else do we have? A Jackson. I can't even remember who our backup quarterbacks were before. Who was the backup to Cat, to the third backup to Cat? Was it Jackson or something? I forget his name.
Wasn't it Gabbert?
No, I'm saying like before Gabbert. He ran just like
we didn't.
Cat.
It was Josh Johnson, wasn't it?
Johnson, that's it. Josh Jackson
for the Redskins.
Yeah. So, all right. So look, we talked about the quarterbacks. We talked about Nick Mullins and CJ Beathard. Dante Pettis is balling. What? Go ahead.
I just wanted the reason why I was hesitant on that question. I just want to say this, and then you can move on. I don't think there's going to be a trade market for CJ Beathard, especially if he loses this competition next year. I know fans keep saying it. I know people want to believe that you can just trade any player on your team.
No, there has to be.
I'm not giving up a what's the word? Like you know how like if a player outperforms a certain part of it, you get a 7th round, or you go from a 7th round pick to a
conditional.
Yes, I'm not even giving up a conditional 7th round pick for CJ Beathard at this moment right now. Now, if he comes out next preseason and lights it up, all right, maybe we can talk about it. But from what we've seen through both preseasons and all of his games that he's played, I'm not giving up a conditional 7th round pick in 2022 for him right now. I'm not doing it.
Yeah, me either. I mean, he might be able to do like a Chunky Soup commercial or something, but but other than that,
no, that's funny as hell. He's the quarterback, and then he's a Snickers commercial type of dude. He's out there playing the way he plays right now, and then they give him a Snickers, and he turns into Jimmy Garoppolo.
Yep.
Like that's what CJ Beathard's value is to the NFL right now. That's exactly. You're not.
What do you do? What do you do for pregame warm-ups? I eat my Snickers. But yeah. So anyway, let's move on. All right. West Coast says, I watched the entire game and we blew it. And I want to get to this later. Because I really like
we'll talk about whether or not we blew what, but you were going somewhere with Dante Pettis talk. I wanted to see where you were going with that.
So what is going on with Marquise Goodwin? I mean, he had 1 reception today, 2 receptions. I do think that him being on the field helps, but I think people are starting to shift their attention more to Dante Pettis.
I think Marquise Goodwin is doing exactly what a good receiver is supposed to do. He's still dictating coverage. And what you have to remember is that when Marquise Goodwin went down, Pettis went to his position. They haven't taken him out of that position yet. He's still playing in the same position. So I think Goodwin is adjusting now. Goodwin was our number 1 wide receiver going into this season. He played at a very specific spot. They moved him around occasionally. but now he's moved to the other side, and they're keeping Dante Pettis there. You know, you get what I'm saying? Right now, Pettis is wide receiver 1, and Goodwin is wide receiver 2. They switched the X and the Z positions. They switched them around now. And
yeah.
I know it might just be alignment or whatever, but you also have to remember this. Nick Mullins doesn't have the arm to do what makes Marquise Goodwin special. That's pretty much what it's come down to. Marquise Goodwin is going to burn you. He's going to get deep. He's going to get deep fast. Or you have to hit him in rhythm as he cuts across the middle and go. And neither of those two things are Nick Mullins' strength. And so that's why you see what's happening right now. If Jimmy Garoppolo comes back, it's a whole different ball game, baby.
All right. So we're all in agreement that Dante Pettis is balling. He's definitely gonna move up the chains as a receiver. Kendrick Bourne, bro. I'm done with him. I can't with him anymore, dude. This guy makes crazy catches, and then in crucial situations, and you wait till you hear my next one. In crucial situations, can't hold on to the damn ball to save his life. We literally could have lost game today because of plays that were just dropped. Come on, tell me that you heard the announcer. The ball literally touches you in your hands. You got to catch it.
I'm just saying, I'm going to give – I hear you. I understand you. I'm going to give Tony a chance to respond before I say anything on it. Do you want to say anything about Kendrick Bourne before I do, Tony?
Well, they're kind of stuck in a position right now because he's the only true X. He's the X, right?
No. Dante Pettis is the X.
Then he's the Z.
No, Marquise Goodwin's the Z.
Huh?
Marquise Goodwin's playing Z today.
Yeah, the X is the X is the possession receiver in his offense. He's the guy that goes across the middle. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, you're right, but he's
playing Garcon's role. We don't have
that's in 2 wide receiver sets, but Nick is talking about in the 3 wide receiver sets on that third down play where he jumped up and hit both of his hands and he didn't miss it.
Well, yeah. Well, that's clearly on him, and he's done that, a lot this season, like Nick said. But, I mean, right now, that's the only big body – I mean, he's not even that big, but big body receiver we have. So we have to play him, and I think, honestly, Kyle's forcing his hand on him to see what he could do moving forward to next year. Again, I'm not going to get into, what moves we're going to make in the offseason, targets and stuff, what we need. But obviously, clearly, with Garcon probably being off the team next year, we're going to need a big body receiver. And this is part of the youth movement, what he wants to see. But there's been times where he's made phenomenal plays on the ball, catches behind him, in front of him, low, high. He's just his consistency is his issue. He's not a consistent receiver. His hands aren't consistent. But there were a couple balls today that were thrown high. And I don't, is that on Mullins or is that him?
Well, yeah, but that 3rd and 7 that we ended up getting a field goal from was right at his chest level. And he literally didn't have to go anywhere. I can't pick up my other arm. So he literally put both hands out here and could watch the ball come in. Well, it was like this and just dropped it. That one wasn't high.
I'm talking about the one where he jumped up.
Right. Yeah, that's the one Tony was talking about. That was another third down.
Yeah, but he caught that.
No, he didn't catch it.
You're talking about not the first catch that he made.
I'm talking about the one in the 4th quarter where he jumped up like this and it just went off the top of his hands.
Oh, yeah. The one that I thought was going to be an interception.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
we're talking about 2 different plays, but I was talking about another third down that we ended up getting a field goal from, where he was behind the line of scrimmage or behind the line of gain, but the ball literally just went through his hands.
Yeah, you guys are talking about 2 different plays, but your question was about how he's okay in non-critical or non-crucial times, and then when we really, really need you to come through, you don't hold on to the ball. That's what your question was. And look, to me, this is Bourne is wide receiver 4 at best on a good team. But like Tony was saying, we're putting him out there and we're testing him in crucial situations because Kyle Shanahan is on this full-blown youth movement at this point in the season. He knows we're not winning the playoffs. He knows we're out here playing spoiler, and I want to test what my guys can do against good teams, against teams who are fighting for their playoffs lives. I want to see what the youth can do on this team so I know how to proceed going into the offseason. That's what Kyle Shanahan is doing. So both of you guys are absolutely right. Bourne will make catches on second downs that look great, like Tony said, that are below him, that are under him, behind him, over his head. And then, third down at crucial times in the fourth quarter, he's jumping up and the ball is hitting him right in his hands. His butt cheek on the replay, his butt cheek was at a player's helmet. He jumped up over the middle. And in the group chat, I think it was Anthony was like, I'm done with Bourne. Time to cut him. Time to move on. I'm like, no. He jumped up. His comment was he's afraid of contact across the middle. It might not have been Anthony, but someone said that on that play. And I said, absolutely not. He jumped so high, his butt cheek was at someone's helmet. He went up for that. He wasn't afraid of contact. He wasn't afraid to get hit. He went for it. He just dropped it. It was just a drop.
And don't get me wrong. I'm not like testing his juju for this team, I guess you could say.
His heart.
Yeah, like his heart for the team. But when it comes down to those crucial situations, if your number's called and the ball is literally hitting you in the A zone, you got to catch it.
And I agree, but what we're seeing is a wide receiver 4 put into a crucial situation.
That's the most important part. He's talent-wise, he's a number 4, like Mike said.
I understand that.
Number 4 playing a number 1.
I understand that, but that also will go with Mike saying that that Nick Mullins holds on to the ball too long and does this and does this and does this and goes against what he does at times. And then you say, well, he's a number 4. Well, you say, and then everybody says, no. That doesn't matter. It's because of the fast pace of the offense, or he's ruining this, or he's ruining that. I don't want to hear for it. You're an NFL player.
You're right.
Or you practice every week. You're starting. You're playing.
You lost me on the correlation between Bourne and Mullins. What are you saying?
Because Tony said that you got to remember that he's a number 4. Well, Nick Mullins is a number 4 too. So why can we? Okay, he's a practice squad guy. So Kendrick Bourne is higher than him, if anything. So yes, but what I'm trying to say is Kendrick Bourne has known he's been starting since injuries to Garcon, since Goodwin, and when it counts to come down with the ball, you can't say, well, he dropped it because he's a 4th guy.
Yeah, but there's been situations where Goodwin's has the drops.
Oh yeah,
number 2 guy.
Yeah, exactly.
Now the question is the bulk of Kendrick Bourne's throws is he being hit in stride, or is he having to jump?
I've seen Kendrick Bourne make 2 catches in stride and they go for big plays because he has room to run. Most of his passes are acrobatic passes behind him, over him, and around him, like Tony was saying.
So that's tough.
Which those 2 big plays should have been touchdowns. But he made rookie mistakes and stop and try to change his angle and go to the outside.
As long as we still score on those drives, I'm okay with that. He's not the fastest guy in the world. He's going to get run down from behind a lot. You know what I mean? And I'm not mad at a guy who's trying to fight for more yards and it doesn't work out for him.
No, but what I'm saying is,
that's why he's wide receiver 4 or 5.
On those 2 big plays, they hit in slant, and if he would have just kept going straight, and this comes with rookie mindset. You know what I mean? You're always taught get to the sideline.
He's young and inexperienced. Absolutely, right. You're going to see that from a guy like that. Absolutely.
Right. And I'm not saying cut Kendrick Bourne. I'm just saying I want to see competition. I want to see.
I'll tell you what. Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. And, I don't think you're saying cut him or get rid of him or anything like that. But I agree with you. If we expect Nick Mullins to step up, we got to expect everybody to step up, regardless of how and where you started on the depth chart. If you're in there, we expect to see you perform. But again, I think this is evaluation and talent-wise, I think he's way lower. I think him and Mullins are actually pretty even talent-wise. I think that on a stacked team, neither one of those guys are better than practice squad players at this moment. Doesn't mean that they can't improve or get better. But at this moment, I think, and if everything is created equally and fair and we have a decent team, both of these guys are nothing more than practice squad players at this moment. The Niners had a lot of critical and crucial drops this game, especially in the fourth quarter. I think there was another one was it a good one? It was a short receiver. It might have been Trent Taylor that he should have caught. And I was like, I think it was Taylor. I was like, you got to be kidding me. Like, you got to catch that ball.
And Mike, that's who I was going to say next. Like, I was going to pick on Trent Taylor because you know how much of a Trent Taylor fan I am. But he is not playing anywhere as consistent as he was before. But it could be – yeah, I got an old arcade screen on Tony's now. Yeah, no. It's like Sonic the Hedgehog. But Tony, mute your thing real quick because I got feedback. And it could be because of his injury that he hasn't been playing consistently, so he can't really get into a groove either. But I'm not giving him that excuse, just like I'm not giving Bourne, because the ball hits you in the hands or in the stomach, you got to catch it. And he dropped crucial passes on third downs in the last few games. So
he also made a really good catch on third down to keep the chains moving also. And again,
Denver. Against Denver.
No, today. He caught a big third down pass today also and to keep the chains moving. But it go. Oh, I thought Tony was trying to chime in. It goes to what we're talking about with both of these guys. Both of these guys are second-year guys who are lower-tier wide receivers and just trying to earn their way in the NFL. And it's a good thing to see that Shanahan is putting them in these positions. We got to see if you can do it or not. And you're seeing the same exact answer. It's inconsistencies. You know what I mean? These guys are both buried on the depth chart this season. Trent Taylor, whether it be due to injury or due to talent, seemed like he kind of lost his responsibilities to Richie James. Richie James screwed it up, so they put him back in there and punt duties and things like that. And then you see him, both doing very, very similar things between Bourne and Trent Taylor. It's here's a good catch, here's a great series from you, and then easy gimmies, you're dropping them. I mean, that if it was Trent Taylor that made that drop on that third down play, it was like, come on, bro, it's not going to get any easier. It's not going to get any easier. But then you see him either later on or before. I know that he had a really good, impressive catch, and I was like, okay, Trent, that's the Trent from last year. Like, I was over here getting hyped. Like, that's the Taylor from last year. Like, he had a really good, crisp route run, and boom, right at the sticks. It was beautiful. So, inconsistencies, man, but you're going to see that with youth. These are second-year guys who a lot of teams probably wouldn't have drafted or picked up at all. So, it's fun. It's good, and it's competition. Above it, everything else is good competition at these positions. I love what I'm seeing. Richie James, now, you're on notice. You know what I mean? Like
competition against each other makes each other better. So, it's just like iron sharpens iron.
And this is competition at its finest level. This is competition against teams vying for playoff spots. I can't keep saying that enough. I don't think you guys are like – my appreciation for what we're seeing Kyle Shanahan do makes it great. Go ahead, Tony. Jump in, baby.
Mike, you said Richie James on notice?
Yeah, and you guys know how much I was championing for Richie James. Richie James is my game. I pride myself in saying these are the guys I like. I hope they do good, and if they don't, I'm going to call you out. I pride myself on doing that. Richie James might not ever return a punt again. He might be the kick returner from now on. That was the first run back on kick return since Ted Ginn against Seattle in 2011. He might have cemented himself in that position, but punts, he might not ever get there again. As far as playing in the slot, he might not earn it back. Go ahead.
You're muted. You got to unmute yourself.
Okay. Are you saying he's on notice for slot or punt return?
I don't think he might not get that punt return position back, and he's on notice for slot. I think he's got to earn that spot back.
I think the opposite. I think James is in the lead for the slot, and Taylor's trying to prove himself for next year. That's why you're seeing Taylor more now. That's just my feeling about it. I think Kyle likes James because he reminds me of like the Taylor Gabriel he had when he was in Atlanta. shifty speed guy out of the slot, where Taylor's a more possession guy. I think honestly, I think Taylor's still hurt. His back is still hurt. I think he's not 100%. That's why I think you're seeing him now for moving forward for 19. There's a big youth movement. We talked about it earlier, but I mean, Malcolm Smith, Earl Mitchell, all dressed. Never on. I mean, I saw Malcolm Smith on the field for one play.
Yeah, he played more special teams than anything.
Come on, these are top paid guys. All these guys are gone. That first wave of free agency when they came in just to put a foundation in to start teaching the Garçons, the freaking Malcolm Smith, the Mitchell, Zuniga, whatever his name.
The Paulsons, Logan Paulsons.
Yeah, like that group of guys are not going to be here in 19. They did what they were brought in to do. That's why they have all outs on their contracts after 2 years.
I agree. Yeah. I'm so happy we won this game. I see a conversation going on in the room, and I can't really focus on it, but they're talking about Bosa versus Allen, I think. And let me tell you, because I like Allen so much, I'm happy that the pressure of taking Bosa number 1 overall is off of us. I am so happy. I hope that we're forced to pick Allen because I really, really like him, man. I think he's a better system fit too. I'm excited to see what this team does in the draft. I'm excited about the direction of this team, man. 2 wins in a row, like I said, against teams who are hoping to get the playoffs. We have sent 2 teams home for the postseason with our 3rd-string quarterback, baby.
Well, the Seattle will have to beat Kansas City next week, but I doubt that's going to happen.
Are we definitely out of the number 1 slot?
Yeah. So if we won today, we move down to number 4 because Oakland, the Jets, and the Jaguar. No, we're 3 right now, I think.
It's Oakland, it's Arizona, and I think it's us. And then the Giants or Jaguars.
Well, the Jets are 3-11, so it goes Oakland, Arizona, the Jets, then us.
No, the Jets are 4-10.
Same as us. But our strength of schedule is harder.
Is it?
Yeah.
Easier, which makes it better. Yeah. I never mind. Yeah, you're right. Harder. You're right.
Yeah. So, I just think that I gotta mute you, Tony, because I can't talk to myself like that. Overall, what do you think of Kyle Shanahan's play calling today? He ate that zone scheme in the first half. It wasn't as good in the second half, but it was still good. It wasn't as good, but it was still good. I mean, look, I keep saying this all the time. I keep saying this all the time is everybody keeps pleading for a big wide receiver, big body guy. Guys, we don't need a big body wide receiver in this scheme, bro. Kyle Shanahan does – the main thing about Kyle Shanahan's scheme with receivers is speed and separation. That's his whole scheme. Mike, you don't agree with that? Speed and separation as everything that he looks for? Tony?
I think we have the speed and separation on our roster currently. I do think we need a big body guy, though, to go along with Kittle. Because now you're starting to see them double team and bracket coverage Kittle. I'm not saying it's a must. It's a first-round pick. I'm not saying you go out and give him 5 years, $50 million in free agency. But I would bring one in. It can't hurt. If you bring in a guy 6'3", 212, I mean, look at Terrell Owens. Terrell Owens was 6'3", 220 pounds, and he was a beast. But, I mean, is it a high need? No. We need a pass rusher. We need to address spots on our defense, a couple spots on our offense. But I have no problem bringing in a big body receiver. I don't. Because
I just think Kittle is that guy. Your tight end is that guy in this system.
But look what Seattle did to him today. They bracketed him for the majority.
Yeah, and then look what Shanahan did to him. He went to the other side of the field. And to his tight end. The big plays were from the tight end.
Yeah, but that's sorry. That is position manipulation. That's what Shanahan does also. So we all knew that everyone in the NFL, including Niner fans, expected Kittle to have a big game today. We all knew that. You had Mullen throwing for 400 last time they played him, and Kittle going ham these last couple of weeks, right? So everybody's thinking, here comes George Kittle. Shanahan knew that also. So he's like, I'm not going to scheme up a bunch of stuff for Kittle. I'm going to scheme up stuff for Selleck because no one's expecting that. And because of Kittle's success in this system shows exactly why a big body wide receiver can be an asset here. Just because we're having success without one doesn't mean that the system won't be better with one. Did that make any sense to you? Like just because we're having success without doesn't mean that we can't be better with.
But you're also going to lose one of those good speed separation guys for a big body guy who's not going to cause the same separation.
Not necessarily. There's depth. I would be completely fine if we picked up a big body receiver and cut Kendrick Bourne. It's depth and when you use them. It doesn't mean that you have to get rid of your speed and separation. You know what I mean? We keep Richie James, we keep Marquise Goodwin, we keep Dante Pettis, we get rid of Kendrick Bourne, and we replace him with a big wide receiver. I'm okay with that. It's about how you use these guys, and it's about making and creating matchups. It doesn't mean that we can't get better with them. That's all I'm saying. It's
Hall of Fame coach Tim said, we have big body guys in Kittle. We just need another tight end who can get separation. And that guy, what about this guy's name? Jesse James from Pittsburgh, who'll be a free agent and not expensive. He's 6'5" and has great hands.
Timeout. I just got something to say. Garrett Selleck was so damn open, he didn't know what to do with himself. So
yeah.
I think, again, that's Kyle scheming him open. And that's the defense focusing in on Kittle. So he became open because they're not paying it. He ran right by the safety. The safety did not even look at him.
Well, the safety fell, too, on his touchdown.
But the one guy came right across, and Kittle and Selleck just looked back and put his hands up, and Mullins hit him.
All I'm trying to say is it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter who you have on the field because Kyle Shanahan is going to scheme the guy open, whether they're big-bodied or not.
You're 100% right. But look at who.
You muted yourself.
I didn't mute it. There's something wrong with my phone. Look at Kyle. Look at Julio when Kyle was in Atlanta. That's a big body receiver.
Yeah.
But that's exactly what I'm trying to say. What Tony's getting at right now. All right, I'm going to mute. Well, I don't hear the feedback really quick. I'm going to mute Tony real quick. Go ahead, Tony. You go ahead and mute it. I'm doing it at the same time as you. That's what it was. So it's not your phone or anything. But Tony is about to touch on exactly what I was getting at when I said just because we don't have it doesn't mean we don't need it. We don't have a speedy, big wide receiver like Julio Jones. Doesn't mean that we can't find success. Also doesn't mean that we won't be a better team with it. You take this exact roster, right? You remove Kendrick Bourne and you insert Julio Jones 3 or 4 years ago. You can't tell me that this offense isn't better. Just because we have a decent offense right now and we're winning games without Julio Jones or a Julio Jones doesn't mean that we can't improve with a Julio Jones. And that's what I'm getting at. That's exactly what I was about to drive home. You force teams to leave guys like Garrett Selleck wide open because of Kittle, because of the speed of Marquise Goodwin, right? That's how you force these guys. You scheme that up where guys like Selleck are wide open. Imagine if we had a Julio Jones out there also on the play.
But you're saying Julio Jones because I'm saying we don't need a big wide receiver. You could go out and pick OBJ up and have the same exact thing. So it doesn't matter about height and size and width. That's what I'm trying to say. Julio Jones is going to put up the same amount of production that an OBJ would here in this system.
Why do you think our tight ends are the main targets in red zone. Why do you think that? It's because they're bigger targets. They have bigger catch radius.
No, it's because they're going up against linebackers. Their coverage is different.
Okay, and what do you think is going to happen when you get a 6'3" guy in here going up against a 5'9", 5'10" cornerback?
I understand that, but all I'm trying to say to you is if you pick up an OBJ and a Julio Jones, the body size is not going to mean any different. It's just because of the way they get open in this scheme. They don't have to be a 6'3", 6'5", 280-pound guy in this system. That's all I'm trying to say is in Kyle Shanahan's system. Now, if I wasn't in Kyle Shanahan's system, I'd love to have a Julio Jones for a red zone threat. But I wouldn't mind picking up another good tight end, good blocking, fast, good hand tight end to where you don't know which side it's going to because Selleck's obviously not even that guy really. He's too inconsistent. And still have the speed that we have on the outsides and a guy who runs a 4.4 or 4.5 as a tight end. Like, I just don't – I understand what you guys are saying, red zone threats. When was the – like, we scored how many touchdowns? The last touchdown we just scored was, look at the separation Dante Pettis created from the 3. You're telling me we just need a big guy down there in that red zone area?
You're right, Nick, but let me just give you a scenario. It's 3rd and 5, okay? You're facing a very good run defense. You have a 6'3", 220-pound receiver versus a 5'11" cornerback, okay? And all he has to do is body up, run a slant. That's it. That 5'11" guy cannot cover that.
Yeah, but you have the same thing with speed.
Of a matchup. I'm not saying, like I said, I'm not saying we have to go out and spend buco bucks and take the guy Neal from Arizona State. We don't have to do that. But is it smart to bring a big body? I mean, they have a big body guy on the practice squad from Houston, the University of Houston. I forgot his damn name. But he's a big body guy, but he's a slower guy. Now, honestly, when they put Garcon on the IR, I thought they were going to bring him up to see what he could do. But listen, I understand what you're saying. You're making a very valid point. But do you remember when Harbaugh was here and they ran that pattern? Crabtree's what, 6'1", 215 on a good day? Where he just would run a slant. They would run like trips or something, and then the guys would open release and he would run that under slant. No one could cover him because he bodied them up. So what I'm saying is if you have a bigger body receiver where you could take advantage of that. I mean, listen, even if it's into the end zone, you have a 6'3" guy with a 40-plus vertical, you just got to loft that ball up in the air and let him go get it because a 6'1" corner is not getting it.
No, and I understand that. I'm not going to be against if we go out and sign a Julio Jones. But he better be a top-notch wide receiver because in this scheme, you really don't need that. You're talking.
It's a bonus.
But it's really not because Kyle creates stuff in his system to where you're breaking and getting separation right off the line to where they're not even in position to make a play. Nobody's battling for balls. His whole scheme is get open from the start to the finish. That's what Kyle does. I mean, you've seen how Dante Pettis, as little as he is, or Trent Taylor, how successful he was on 3rd down last year. Little-ass guy, 5'9", bodying people up, creating separation, getting 3rd downs. All I'm saying is, yes, will it make us better if we get a big body receiver? Probably. But I don't see how much better it will make us because the receiver is the receiver. The scheme is the scheme. I mean, I think that Julio Jones and OBJ, who are total difference in sizes, will put up the same type of numbers in Kyle Shanahan's scheme as each other would.
Look, our leading touchdown receiver last year was Garrett Selleck. It's not a coincidence that he was one of the biggest targets on the field. This year, because he had 2 really good games or 2 back-to-back weeks, it happens to be Dante Pettis right now. But without Pettis, it's George Kittle. The evidence is there that just bigger targets in smaller confined areas. I'm not saying I don't value separation on that. And we're going to start talking in circles about whether or not it's a need versus if it will be better, because that's what's happening already. We're already going back and forth about it. But I don't see how we wouldn't be better with big body wide receivers. A Martavis Bryant, who was a free agent next offseason from Oakland. We add him here. If he can keep his head straight, it's a completely different game. He's got speed. He's got size. He's 6'3". He's 210. He's got speed and decent hands. You get him here in this system with Kyle Shanahan, and I guarantee you that the offense looks a lot better. A lot better. But I got to get going soon because the baby's upset, and baby upset means wife is upset, and wife upset means Christmas gets bad for Mike.
Christmas is already bad for Mike. Christmas is bad for me too. Well, actually, New Year's will probably be worse because I'll be all crippled up. No, I understand what you're saying, but I just, like I said, I think Kittle gets open because of matchups. It's not because of his size. I think it's just matchups and speed and the ability to create separation from him. He's not painting a guy up in basketball. Like, he's getting open because of it. Kyle Shanahan finds the weaknesses and executes it. That's what he does in his offense. Kittle
absolutely has receptions where he's wide open or there's busted coverage and things like that. But I don't have any statistical proof. I don't know if there's a way to prove it or not, but I'm willing to bet Kittle has more contested catches than he has wide open catches. I'm willing to bet that. And I think the reason he's successful with the contested catches is his size. That's all I'm saying. But I don't have a way to prove that right now. And I'll see if I can find the answer to that later on. I'm sure that there's some advanced stat tracking site out there somewhere that has it, but we'll see.
Either way, I'm okay with adding depth that's going to make us better, whether it's a big body receiver or a guy who's going to create separation.
Absolutely.
Either way.
We all want to see us be successful here. I don't think I ever got a chance to answer your original question when we got to the offensive side of the ball, which was, what did you think of Kyle Shanahan's play calling? So yeah. I do want to get on this. I loved it. Execution versus play calling are two different things, because we talked about that play to Breida on 3rd and 6 where McGlinchey completely whiffed on that block. If he had that block, Breida had daylight and grass ahead of him for days with blocking tight end and a wide receiver on that side of the field. He might have scored. But because McGlinchey blew that block, it didn't go anywhere. But Kyle Shanahan's play calling and scheming was great. This was one of the first games where I was watching how we played in the first quarter in particular. And I was like, I can't wait to see how this turns around in our favor in the second half. When I did the Periscope at halftime, I talked about seeing if we can do it for 2 consecutive halves. And we did. Execution might not have always been there. We talked about critical 3rd down drops by Bourne and by Taylor. But the play design, the scheme, and things like that, Kyle Shanahan got in his bag today. And we were successful. We won. And think about the 2 plays that Kittle was wide open and Mullins completely missed them. One of them would have probably went for a touchdown also. Kyle Shanahan got in his play calling bag all day today. It was a beautiful thing to see, man. And so that was the original question. I absolutely loved it.
Yo, I don't want you to think I was laughing at you. Dan Durant says Mike and Nick need to fight and get over it. Get over it. Get it over with.
Why y'all think Nick's shoulder messed up? Nick don't want no more work.
Don't even mess with me, bro. I'll come swinging a sling next week or 2 weeks from now. Yeah, I'm surprised my eyes aren't like this yet from the muscle relaxer. Yeah, no, I mean, I agree with you. I think Kyle Shanahan was definitely, I tweeted it out. I said Kyle Shanahan is just picking apart this scheme today on Seattle. And, I still think, our record or not, man, he's still one of the best offensive coaches in the NFL by far. To do what he's doing, scoring an average of 24 points a game?
With the players he's doing it with, bro.
That's right. That's what I was just going to say. With the players that he's doing, we got a practice squad quarterback. We got, rookie drafted receivers. We have a second-year tight end.
All running backs are both undrafted. Guys. Come on, bro. Come on, man. He's got Alfred Morris riding the pine for these dudes. Come on, man. Get it.
Yep. So, Mike, so before we get out of here, do you have us winning any more games?
Since I've said the 49er fans shouldn't expect us to win another game, we've won both games. So I'm going to stick with my answer. No, I don't see us beating the Bears, and I definitely don't see us beating the Rams. I'm going to stick with my answer, and if we win them both, hey, it is what it is. I'll be super happy to be wrong.
Before I get to Tony, because I want you to answer the same question, Tony, but does Sean McVay play his players the last week of the season?
Depends on the Saints game, but I think so. I think he's going to be forced to do it. I think he wants that number one spot.
I don't even think it has anything to do with number one this year. I think it's a matter of keeping his team fresh and not on a break for so long, because they literally shit the bed when they took off last year. And I think that he's going to test it this year. You know what I mean? Because like I said, they got one maybe next year before they have to really start paying players to where they have no money right now. Jared Goff, Todd Gurley, these guys. So they got to get it done. So you got to take that chance. But I'm not sure if they do that or not.
Do you have the controls that stop the broadcast on your screen, right?
Yeah.
All right. So let me just jump back in on that really quick, and I'm going to get off of here. But I think the bigger question is going to be, do they play the entire game? I do think that he fears the rust. I do think that he's worried about that. But I can't see him in a very meaningless game, especially if it's meaningless, especially if there's no seeding available. If they're guaranteed to only get the number 2 seed, I do think that he'll start to pull his starters. He did that when they played us this year. It was the third quarter when he started pulling some of his starters already. So I don't think that. I think the bigger question, all right, is he afraid of rust and all that going into the playoffs? Yes, I think you're 100% right about that. It's a matter of, does he let them play the entire game? That's where I think the answer is going to be no. Regardless of the situation, I don't think his starters play the full game.
All right. And also, Matt Barrow said Kyle Shanahan said Ahkello Witherspoon suffered a knee sprain. He'll have an MRI tomorrow to determine the severity. All right.
That's good news. They didn't rule it a torn anything or anything like that. So
we know what happened with McKinnon and them. So they were like, they were hopeful that it wasn't a tear because they thought it was a tear. So I know you have to jump out of here, Mike. I'm not going to continue on much longer. I'm just going to finish up with Tony.
Yeah. Peace out, guys. Make sure you guys check us out. You guys see the apparel. We got another one coming to you guys very, very soon. So be on the lookout for it. All right. Tony's rocking it over there too. Nick's got one hanging up in the background. They all over the place representing in Levi's today, getting that first win streak of the year.
And also, you can get those now in dry fit shirts, dry fit T-shirts. Look at that brick.
Yeah, man. Once I lose some of the gut right now, I used to have an 8-pack, then it went down to a 6-pack, then it was 4. I got a full-blown keg right now, but once I start toning that back up, you guys will see me in something tight and sexy out there, man. You know what I mean?
You need to get one so you can go to the gym and work out in it.
That's a good point too. But then it'll be all stretched out by the time I'm fit. But guys, I appreciate you both. I got to run. Tony, good talking to you, man. We'll be in touch. We got a podcast coming this week. We got to get it done. No excuses, fellas. I got some stuff I want to talk about with you guys. So podcast, at least one this week, all right? I'm out of here, guys. Love you.
Peace. Tony, what is your do the Niners win any more games this year or what?
I don't think are they playing the Bears at home?
Yes. The Bears are a home game, and then it's in L.A.
I'm going to go with Mike. No, we're not winning another game. Well, screw it. And I do think the Rams are going to play their starters. Because I think McVay's pissed.
Yeah. Oh, there we go. Got that screen again, Tony. Something's going on with your phone.
My phone's garbage.
Yes, it's time to get a new one.
The 1.5-year mark with my iPhone, so the timer goes off and starts acting up.
Yeah, I hear that. Let me just check this chat real quick. Holla, go Hawks. We win both.
Any questions? Any comments?
Without Boza, if we don't get Boza, who are you looking at? Who would you like to take?
I like Allen. I don't know. I just have a bad taste of Bosa a bad taste on Bosa. I mentioned it in the chat about how he stopped playing at Ohio State. I watched the Cotton Bowl versus USC in 2017. I mean, he played good. He had a good game. I think he had a sack and a half or maybe 2 sacks. But, I mean, I was listening to a podcast, and someone made up a valid point. Is he going to come out and do what his brother did, hold out for money? I forgot who it was, but this individual made a very solid point. Is he about football or is he about money? Is he about himself? Because in my opinion, anytime you pull yourself off a team to get yourself better and ready for the NFL, that is the me attitude. And I don't like that.
And if you remember, I said that we had a talk, and I had said that where I'm an Ohio State fan. So to me, I thought it would have been better for him to stay on the team and support his team for the rest of the year and use the facilities there to get better and ready. He knew he wasn't playing.
Like, you don't even see him. Like, he's like gone.
Yeah, he's not even there anymore. So,
I mean, who am I to judge?
I think he dropped out of school.
See, that just raises a flag to me. I don't know. There's something about that just doesn't rub me right. I like the kid Allen from Kentucky. I like that he plays in the SEC. In my opinion, I feel it's better competition than what Ohio State's in the Big 12. He played, 2 games this year at Ohio State, or 1 game?
1.
And who was it versus? Rutgers, where he had 3 sacks? I mean, I
think it was the first game of the year. That was it.
I think I can get a sack versus Rutgers. I mean,
all right. So, what about how do you say it? Jair Polite?
Yeah, I mean, he's another. Listen, it's very early. We got to go to free agency. You don't know what's going to happen. We could sit here and say, I don't understand. Like, I don't know if it was Kevin Jones or someone responded off of a Kevin Jones tweet saying how this win set us back. How is that setting us back because we don't get the number 1 pick? I mean, listen, no one's a guarantee in the draft. I mean, you could agree with that?
Yeah, I mean, look, if we can go out and get a D Ford or a Frank Clark or a Clowney, even a Clowney.
Yeah.
If we can land one of those guys in free agency, why do we need the number 1 pick?
Yeah.
Like, you can still pick up a good – we don't even know what Contavious Street's going to be about.
He's going to be an inside guy.
Yeah, he's going to be an inside guy, but I'm just saying we don't know what he's going to be about.
I think he's going to be good.
Yeah. He
dominated. Honestly, I'm going to be straightforward with you. I don't know if I said this in the draft recap show, but every time you watch that guy, you watch the highlights for like Bradley Chubb, you saw him. You saw Street flying upfield, and then the quarterback would step right up into Chubb.
Mm-hmm.
So who is it? Is it Chubb? Is it Street? Is it the other guys? The Giants drafted the other guy, B.J. Hill or something, I think his name was. When you have that much talent in your front four, they work together and they feed off each other. So you don't really know who.
Look, let me ask you this. We all talk about outside pass rush.
Yes.
But inside pass rush is pretty damn important too.
It is.
I think inside pass rush causes more disturbance for the pocket to flush out, depending on the quarterback you're going up against. Obviously, you don't want to have a really good middle pass rush against a Russell Wilson and nobody to contain. You know what I mean? But
do you think it's coincidence that since DJ Jones took over as the one technique, Buckner's had 4 sacks in 2 games?
yeah, because he can't get that help. That's what I'm saying. You think about Contavious Street. You're gonna have Armstead, Contavious Street. You're gonna have DJ Jones. You're gonna have Buckner. You're gonna have Blair. Like, I really think we get our pass rush from free agency this year for 2019.
I mean, listen, it all depends. I think we're gonna have an opportunity to get someone, but I don't know if it's gonna be like it depends on where let's say we finish picking 3. I don't think, obviously, I mean, listen, Bosa could drop. Because I'm going to be honest with you, I see red flags right off the bat. Okay? What his brother did at San Diego, he held up all the way through training camp because he wanted more guaranteed money, whatever. But let's say Bosa drops to 3, and we have an opportunity to take him. Let's say the kid because they're saying this defensive tackle from Alabama is a beast. Like, what? I don't even know his name. Williams, maybe. And let's say a quarterback steps up and they take him at number 2. I'm just talking hypothetically now. But if we're sitting at 3 and Bosa's there, do you take him? Or do you field calls and move back 2 picks and then you take Allen? It's too early.
I think it really depends on what we hit in free agency.
Yeah,
it really depends because
it's franchised.
Yeah, because if you can pick up a D Ford or a Frank Clark or a DeMarcus Lawrence, like even a Clowney, that makes your number 3 pick to where you can trade and get 3 more picks for this year. So we can all stay here and be pissed off about not being able to draft Bosa, and we don't know if Bosa is even going to drop or whatever. Or he could even be a bust. I'm not saying that he is, but he could be. Or we draft Bosa, and he has a shitty year this year, and he doesn't start coming into his own. Like, look at Clowney. Clowney didn't really start coming in his own until like the end of year 2, beginning of year 3, even though he had a knee injury. But he really didn't start coming into his own 2 years. So, and then everybody's like, "Oh, Bosa's a bust." You know, we wasted a first-round pick on him, like they do with Solomon Thomas right now. Dude, could you imagine if Contavious Street is really a beast, and you have him and Buckner on the inside, and a D Ford or a DeMarcus Lawrence on the outside?
Yeah. I just think I think we need to find out who's going to be franchised. That's step number 1. Once you find out who's franchised, then you can start putting your off season together and how your plan of attack. I could see a scenario where I think this defense. I think this defense needs a little more veteran presence. I can see them, and I'm not saying that I heard anything. I could see them going after Earl Thomas. I could see them going after Frank Clark. I could even see them going after Clay Matthews to play the Sam spot.
Mm-hmm.
Because we need a Sam linebacker. You saw what happened when the Zoucher came in. They attacked that edge, and they hit it. Now, I mean, just hypothetically, let's say we land Clark, Thomas. I mean, we're going to have the money to do it. We're going to have probably about upwards $80 million after we make our cuts and stuff like that. Let's say we land Thomas, we land Clay Matthews on a low deal, maybe like a 2-year deal for a decent number of incentive-based contract, and we add Clark from Seattle. Now you addressed all 3 levels of that defense. You have you have an edge rusher who played in that scheme. when they took over, we need a corner like Sherman. So what did they do? They went out and got Sherman. We need a free safety like Thomas. What do? You go out and get Earl Thomas. So I personally think Clark would be the best way, him, D Ford, because they're both similar. I think Clark has more power to his game than D Ford. You could see that scenario.
I really love DeMarcus Lawrence, though, if we could get him.
I don't think he's gonna be free.
Would you trade our first round pick for him?
A number 3 overall for DeMarcus 3 or
wherever you're at, 4, 5.
I don't know. He's got.
He's young.
He is young, but he's got a bad back. He's got back problems. And no good back in football, no bueno.
I'm just saying, I think with the pass rushers that are on the block, basically to say whether they're going to be franchise tagged, re-signed, or whatever, we have the firepower to get what we want.
Yeah, we do. There's no guarantee in the top 5. There's no. I mean, if it's someone that you honestly believe will upgrade your roster, your defense, then you make the move. But
all right, let me ask you this question. We end up with number 4 overall. All right. You could go and get D Ford, but Kansas City wants that number 4 overall pick. You switch picks with them in the first, and you get a second or third in D Ford. Are you doing it?
Hold on. You said we have number 4. Kansas City wants to swap ones, and we get a second and D Ford back?
We get a second, a third, and D Ford.
Absolutely.
You're doing it, right?
Now you have the firepower to jump back into round 1.
Exactly.
So now you'll be picking. So let's say Kansas City finishes 30 or 31. You'll have the 31st pick. We'll have our first pick in the second round. So now you have the firepower to take that 31st pick, our first pick, or our later pick in the second round to jump up into the mid-first.
Yeah.
And you have a pass rusher.
And you get a pass rusher.
That could be a receiver. That could be a linebacker. That could be, it's early. It's too early.
And that's why and the only reason I was asking you that is because it's early and everybody's pissed off and they just all have their minds set on Boza. But there's a ton of options that we can do. We have the money. We'll have the pick. We can get more picks to give us more than 5. And we would still get a pass rusher who's already been playing in the league. So they get you veteran preference and you get a good player, veteran preference, you get 2 extra picks, and you have the ability to trade back in the first round.
See, I mean, we're going to be – I think we're going to be in a good spot. Like, I keep seeing, like, people questioning John Lynch and the front office of the team. Listen, they swung, they missed at Reuben Foster. It didn't cost them much at all to move up to 31 from the second round to get him. It did. It's not like we mortgaged a first rounder. Now, if we took him where we took Solomon Thomas, that would be a different story. But where they took him and what it cost to get up to take him, they took a shot. I probably would have done the same thing. You probably would have done the same thing. Any fan probably would have done the same thing that watches football. These colleges hide a lot of shit on these players. Yeah, he's a great kid. Now, I mean, you saw what happened. It didn't turn out good. It is what it is. There's nothing you could do. We moved on. We cut ties, which I think, honestly, was the best thing possible because I feel like that dark cloud is off this team now. As far as talent-wise, I think the light bulb is starting to go on for Solomon Thomas. I really do. He had he had 2 holding penalties called on him because he beat his man off the first step. One guy hugged him. like
in cruciating time.
Yeah, hugged him. And the key part of this, it was from the inside. He was rushing from the inside, drawing these penalties. So now let's reevaluate that class. Solomon Thomas is starting to wake up. Whatever happened, Foster's gone. Akello Witherspoon is starting to wake up. And Kittle. Joe Williams is Joe Williams. C.J. Beathard is C.J. Beathard. Taylor. There's guys out of that class that are being key contributors to this team. That's not even talking about the undrafted free agents. So this front office has the ability to seek talent. So, I mean, I think people just need to step back and let these guys do their thing.
Yeah, I agree.
This draft class is turning into something. Right? There was a reason why they moved up to get Dante Pettis. Right? What a coincidence. He leads the team in touchdowns.
Yeah. I mean, Nicholas Wirth said that it's speculation that none of these edge free agents will become available. I understand it. I understand it's speculation, and I think that teams will keep these guys. But all I was trying to prove was that if you have the firepower and you want the player, there's ways to get players. And, DeMarcus Lawrence or D Ford or Clowney or Clay Matthews or whoever's going to be franchise tagged or re-signed, if you think it's your guy and you want him that bad, you can get him. It can all be speculation. It's the whole NFL is speculation. OBJ could be traded tomorrow, and nobody would even know until the news breaks. So we can sit here and say that this team, to me, is lacking pass rush. But more importantly so, it's lacking pass rush veterans. Veterans that are still young enough to compete in this game right now. And this defense is lacking veteran preference. We could come out and get the first-round pick next year and draft Bosa, and he could not have a good year, and everybody would be saying it's a bust. It wasn't worth it. The same thing they did with Solomon Thomas. The same thing they did with Akello Witherspoon, Reuben Foster. But in the end game, if you want somebody to produce now, like right off the bat, guaranteed that he's probably going to produce in that type of scheme, is somebody like getting an Earl Thomas, getting a Frank Clark or a D Ford, a DeMarcus Lawrence, somebody who's been playing and knows the speed of the NFL and the game in the NFL right now, other than a rookie. Then you draft a rookie that you can get. There's a ton of them. They all may not be Bosa's name, but I really don't think there's too much. There's not a whole lot of difference between Allen and Bosa, and you could even throw Polite in there. There's really not a whole – maybe a bend move or a little bit of a spin move, or one has a little bit more power, or the other one is better at this. They all have different qualities, and it really just depends on what you're looking for.
No, I agree. I agree with everything you're saying.
So
I still think there's a logjam at this defensive line with guys that play the same position. I know Armstead's starting to come on a little bit, but they need to make a decision on Armstead. Like, they need to figure out, is he a 3 technique? Is he the big end? They need to figure out what they're going to do with that, because $9 million is a lot of money for a rotational player. It really is.
Oh, I totally agree. Totally agree. We all know we need to do something this offseason. It's still a little ways away. We're January, February, March, April, right? April. So
the agency, I think, starts in February.
Yeah, well, free agency starts in February, but I'm saying we could go into free agency and get the pieces that we need to win next year.
Correct.
And then go into the draft to supersede what we bring in free agency this year.
Correct.
And we know how Kyle Shanahan is, and we know how John Lynch is, and we know how Robert Saleh are. They're going to get people who fit their position. So I'm saying look really, really hard for Frank Clark or Earl Thomas. Clown.
Bring in multiple pass rushers.
Yeah, and I really think they're going to.
Tier 1, you're gonna have a tier 1, and then a tier 3. Like you're gonna have somebody like, let's just say, a Frank Clark, and then I think they're gonna come in and grab like a Clay Matthews or a Shane Ray or a lower level talent and take a shot with it. Because I honestly think that's how much, and I think they're gonna draft another guy.
Yeah,
and I think they're just gonna let him battle it out.
Well, you heard John Lynch say that. He said we're going to pick up guys in free agency, and we're probably going to draft the same position, like somewhere in the draft. But you heard him come out and say you can never have enough pass rushers, and him telling me that this year, they're going to spend the money, they're going to do what they have to do to get that position, and they're going to draft that position. Me personally, I'd rather have somebody that's proven, still young, and going on his second contract compared to what he was on his first team, and somebody who's consistently doing it over. I'd rather take somebody who has 12 sacks a year than somebody who has 0 sacks in the NFL right now.
Yeah.
So. Stephen Smith said that we cut Solomon in County. I don't think we need to cut Solomon in County.
What happened?
Somebody said, do we cut Solomon and sign Clown?
Cut Solomon?
Yeah.
No, you can't cut Solomon. You have too much vested in him.
Yeah.
His cap number is too big. I don't even think Clowney's going to be on the market, to be honest with you.
Do you remember John Lynch saying that in that one interview?
Multiple pass rushers?
Yeah.
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 They know they know they screwed up. They know they screwed up. They took a shot with a tap shoe. I mean, I don't know if he was banged up, but they didn't even give him really a shot. He must have been just horrible in camp. They took a shot with a towel shoe. I mean, I didn't see Peter T. I would have loved to see him if he was on the field today.
Well, he had that one big hit for special teams. He laid a smacking on Ball or Lockett.
Did he?
Oh, yeah. It was a muffed kickoff, and he was going after the ball, and Peter T just laid him out. So, all right, well, I'm excited we got the win tonight. I don't care about draft position. I'm a Niners fan, and I think that there's other ways to get draft. If you want to move up in the draft, you can. It's the same. It's speculation. You can move down, you can move up, you can get something in free agency. So today's win meant a lot to me, beating the Seahawks. It was, it's been really a really long time since I felt that good about beating the Seahawks, obviously. And maybe people can stop saying that we need to bring Jim Harbaugh back. Because Kyle Shanahan just did something Jim Harbaugh couldn't do. So let's see here. Armstead has to go. He doesn't produce. I don't agree with that. I think he's coming along lately. We have the cap space. There's no reason to go cheapo for the gold. Don't mess around this year. Adrian Gutierrez, I definitely agree with that. Coach Tim, Armstead, Mitchell, Watson, Marsh, and a couple of DBs will be going this offseason. If Tomlinson and Richburg don't pick up their games next 2, they might be also. We don't need an inside linebacker in the first. We need edge and look at Warner. See what else we got. True that today was a big day for all true Niner fans. Yeah, Nick. Nick, did you get your shirts yet? I sent them out, and I haven't heard if you got them or not yet. Let's see. Yeah. So guys, I'm gonna be Jonah Williams, or are you sold on Gary? Armstead is balling. Richburg isn't going anywhere. Not yet. Not yet. Make sure you let me know when you get those shirts, Nick. I don't know why you haven't got them yet.
Listen, Wittstein had a tough game today, but Tomlinson didn't really help him out on a couple plays. Richburg.
You know, Tomlinson pisses me off, man. He's like so good for one offsides call a game or getting beat at least 2 or 3 times a game.
And the one play where Richburg got beat, that guy just shot the inside gap on him, and he was shaded to that gap. And that's even the commentator said it. That's a very tough block for a center. I'm not sticking. I like Richburg. I like what he brings to the team. But center's a tough position, man. You got to snap the ball and then fire your hands out to try to get him on the guy.
Well, you saw the one that he got beat today. He snapped the ball and he was still sitting there for like a split second. He was late coming up.
Yeah.
And
they probably had timing on the snap count.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, but it's tough. It's a tough position to play, man.
It is. It is. But all right. Well, I'm gonna get ready to head out of here because this muscle relaxer is starting to kick in. And I'm gonna try to pass out. So
you will.
Yeah. Well, I'm still not sleeping good because I sleep on my right side, so I end up rolling on it, and then I wake up and I'm up for like 3 hours in pain. So, but guys, I know it sucks that a lot of you are mad that we didn't, we lost the number one, that we lost that number 1 pick overall. But man, this fucking win feels great. I'm gonna be able to sleep tonight like, damn, we beat Seattle. So, but yeah, let everybody know where they can find you at.
I'm on Twitter, NJNinerFan499. Any questions, comments, feel free to hit me up.
NJNinerFan499. No underscores or anything, right?
No underscores.
Okay. And you guys can follow me on Twitter, 49er Faithful 365. No F, just 49er Faithful 365. Guys, if you're interested in any of our apparel, we will have a new shirt coming out soon, probably next week sometime. Can't tell you what it is though. But
you can get these.
Yes, you can get those Birth and Dynasty shirts that Tony has on. Yo, big shout out to little Pete, man. Tina Girl 25 on Twitter's son sent me this keychain. Pretty badass. Big shout out to him. But anyway, Breaker Dynasty. There's the shirt. You can get it white, black, blue, any color you want. You can get dry fit shirts, t-shirts, and hoodies. So if you're interested in those, just send me an email at nick@nothingbutniners.com. So, Tony, you got anything else, bud?
That's it. We broke the streak. 10 games. Niners beat Seattle.
I think we beat the Bears next week. We're not beating the Rams, but we'll beat the Bears next week.
Because we'll be falling down the draft.
Yeah, people will be crying, but I think the Bears may be a 1-2 half game because they already clinched today.
Yeah.
So, and we may not see the likes of Khalil Mack an entire game. We may not see Trubisky a full game. So, But yeah, George Kittle's at the WWE PLT right now. So, all right, guys. Look, big win today, man. Huge win today. I know it is for me. I was super pumped. Just remember, guys, Nick Mullins is balling out, but Jimmy G will be back.
Shout out to Hodge.
Oh, you got the brick by brick?
Yeah.
Hodge is a great dude, man. If you guys are on Twitter, make sure you follow him at 49er Hodge, HODGE. Great dude. Does a lot for the faithful. And make sure you follow him. Follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Nothing But Niners. Make sure you hit the like and subscribe button right down there on YouTube. Check us out on Snapchat, Nothing But 9ERS, as well as Twitter, Nothing But 9ERS. And yeah. And I'm going to sign us out like I always do. Above all else, stay faithful. We out of here.